Hi, everybody. Welcome into Build a Quilt. I'm Diana, and Build a Quilt is home of patchwork in the hoop. That's right, patchwork quilting made with the hoop of your embroidery machine. Helps if I have that up the right way. The hoop of your embroidery machine. And with our Build a Quilt projects, you typically only need a 5x7 hoop, although I have something exciting to tell you later in the video, so stay tuned, because those of you that have been asking for something more, that's all I'll say. I'm going to tell you about it later in the video, so stay tuned for that. But this is actual patchwork. It's not embroidery made to look like patchwork, which is beautiful in and of itself, but this is actual patchwork made with your embroidery machine. So we have lots of videos here on the channel for beginners, how to, those kinds of things. So check those out, and I'm sure that you will find something that you enjoy, especially if you're brand new. Check out our video on the mother of all quilt block segments, the half square triangle. In fact, I'll link that at the end of this video so you can take a look at it. It's basically where everybody needs to start, because it is the most often used quilting block segment in all of quilting. And there's a free pattern over at our website, which I'll tell you about more as well. But this is our year-end review video. Excuse me, got a cold going on. This is our year-end review. And I thought it was, I mean, what better than the last day of the year to kind of go over all the stuff we did in 2024. Not all of it, but a good portion of it in 2024. And you can remember back, did I do those things? Or, ooh, that's something I still want to do. I better go check that out over at the website. I'm sorry, I've got a hair in my face now. Crazy. And then you're gonna maybe have a little checklist. It'll be a lot of fun to go through all of these things. And I have a lot of new announcements towards the end. So again, stay with us. So any of you that have been with us for a while know that we have something throughout the year called Quilt Lab. And this year was kind of a test year for the Quilt Lab subscription service, and it went pretty well, I have to say. All of you that joined the subscription service seemed to like it, but you all also really helped me figure out the direction going forward in the new year, because the new year, it's going to be bigger, better, and a little bit different. We'll talk about that some more as well. But Quilt Lab this year, there was a new block each month that came in 3 sizes. So you got all 3 sizes. You got all of the information, the digital file information, all of that. And then each month there was maybe either some variations on that block that you could make with the same segment pieces that we did, or maybe there was a project, like one month we had a quilt, one month we had a table runner, that kind of thing. So we did all kinds of things. And so I thought it would be fun to take a look back at the blocks that we did in 2024 Quilt Lab. Now, technically, Quilt Lab, as you know, is not over for the year just because tomorrow is January 1st, because Quilt Lab runs February 1st through January 31st. So we have one more block set coming, and it will be here Wednesday, the 8th of January, when we return for Wednesday Workshop Live at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's when the January block will come out, and that will be the last block for the 24-year cycle, okay? I'll remind you of that information again a little bit later. But let's start out with this block here. Now, a few of these, I pulled my larger versions, and then a lot of them, I pulled my 10x10 versions, because 2024 seemed to be the year of the 10x10 quilt block here at Build a Quilt. You all really liked it, and there was a reason I think you liked it, and we're going to talk about that here in a second too. I'm so excited to relive the project that we all did together throughout the first half of the year. It's coming, and it's still available for you to do, and it's completely free. Can you believe it? I love it. A whole huge quilt, completely free. Anyway, let's start out with this block here. This was our diamond. See, here's our diamond in a square, our diamond in a cross block. So this made the large cross. This was a diamond. It came in 3 sizes. And the reason we did blocks this year is because I wanted you to get used to doing different types of segment pieces. And I wanted you to have a library of blocks where you can say, I like this block, I like this block, and I'm going to go put my own quilt together, because you guys can do that. You're so talented. And remember, you're the artist with quilting. Nobody can tell you what goes and what doesn't go. If you like this block and that block together, and you want to make a whole quilt out of just 2 blocks or just 1 block or 4 or 5 of the blocks, go for it, because in the end, you know what I'm going to say. You're going to have quilted life beautiful. You're going to make life so much more beautiful with the quilts you make with the Build a Quilt system. So this was why we did blocks this year. And this was one of the blocks we did, the diamond in a cross. And I think it's a really pretty block. It's a really, I almost think of this block as almost a really good filler block. Like if you have a really fancy star point block, this is the block you could make to fill in. It could be a single block quilt on its own, but it would really be nice between some more fancy, or shall we say more intricately done blocks. Okay. I don't want to say hard, because none of this is hard. And once you know the basic way to do patchwork in the hoop, you've got it down. You're good to go. In fact, we've been putting out our new Build a Quilt basic videos that go over the creation of the basic segment pieces. And if you're following those along, we've put out 3 of them now, I think. The square, the half square triangle, and we just posted the one on the flying geese unit. If you've been doing those along the way, by the time you have done all those little basic videos as they come out, you'll be a pro at the Build a Quilt system. Trust me on that. It doesn't take long at all. So let's set that one aside. Here was one. This block, this fabric I had was fabric I had had in the stash for a while. Part of it was from the London Blues collection from Timeless Treasures. And another one was, it's kind of a dot. And I don't know if it's basic gray. I can't remember, but I loved it. It's called the St. George's Cross block. And I loved how that one turned out. Maybe it's just because I really love this fabric, but I just loved how that one turned out. And this is a block. Technically, I wouldn't use it as a filler block because it's really got some oomph on its own. This would be like my main theme block for if I were going to put this in a full quilt. Now, the one thing you can do is always take your Build a Quilt Quilt Lab blocks and turn them into a sampler quilt. Now, we have a quilt along at the end of the year, which we're just finishing up, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you could do that quilt, plus you could do your own sampler quilt as well. Now, one of the months we did a real oldie, but a goodie. This block has been around for a long time. I always like to try and give you a little information about the history of these blocks. This block has been around for a long time, but it's one of those blocks that comes in multiple variations. So we did 3 of them. I'm going to show you the basic block, but you can go back and check out the videos and the patterns over at the website and see all 3 of them, because we actually did a wall quilt, a good sized wall quilt with these, I think 45 by 45. So it's a nice size wall quilt. That's kind of a sweet spot, I think, for a wall quilt. But it was the 5440 or Fight block. This really had a history to it. It was a lot of fun to make. This was the basic. The other 2 variations had a little bit more involvement to them. And when we put them all together in our quilt, oh, did it turn out gorgeous. And I love this block. It's so simple. It was just squares and these spiky, flippy corner blocks. That's all it was. So it was really easy to put together. And this is the 15 by 15 size block. And I believe that is the size block. I know it is. It's the size block that we used for the quilt, the wall quilt, and they just turned out beautifully. So that was our 5440 or Fight block. Those are the 3 larger ones I brought to show you. The rest of these are in our smaller size. And like I said, 10 by 10 was the size of the year for 2024 here at Build a Quilt. And part of that was because a group of you got together and emailed me and said, "Hey, Diana, Riley Blake Designs is doing a free quilt along called the Riley Blake Block Challenge. Do you think we could do it in the Build a Quilt system?" I didn't know what was going on. So I went out and I checked it out on their website and all. And sure enough, I think it was once a month. I could be wrong. Could have been a couple times a month. It's been the first part of 2024 is now like kind of gone out of my mind. But every time it was once a week, I actually believe. Every week we got a block for 16 weeks. And what I did is I took their block and I translated, all their blocks were 10 by 10, and I translated that into the Build a Quilt system. And those were all free blocks for you. You could take all of them. And at the end, I also gave you a free sashing set to go with it, because how they finished it with sashing. The way I finished mine was without sashing, because without sashing, again, it made a really beautiful wall quilt. Now I'm going to show you what the blocks look like and what the quilt looked like. This was the quilt finished. These were not changed around. This was how they laid them out, and you can see how they did their sashing. So this was their finished version of the quilt. And so for the sashing, you got those little diamonds in a square and the rectangles to make your sashing to go with it. Now, like I said, I didn't make mine with sashing because I wanted a nice 40 by 40 wall quilt again. I love that size, and I have the perfect wall space in my home. If you have a wall space that is a certain size, try using some of the different size blocks that you have from Build a Quilt and creating a bunch of quilts that you can switch out throughout the year in that size. And that way you always have the most beautiful art in the home, right in your favorite part of the house, right in that one wall. But this was the Riley Blake Block Challenge quilt. Wasn't it beautiful? And boy, there were a lot. The way this worked was the 16 of the designers that create the fabric collections at Riley Blake created each one of these blocks. So one week it was Lori Holt, and one week it was Amy Smart, and all really wonderful women that designed these blocks. And then I created them in the 10 by 10, and you got them singly. Now, if you want to do this quilt, I'm going to take this down now. You can do that because the whole package is available for free over at our website, mybuildaquilt.com. So check that out. Now, if you're brand new to Build a Quilt, check out that free half square triangle block. Get used to the idea. Make some of those, because you can make hundreds of quilts with just that one block segment. It's crazy. All the quilts you can make with one single segment. But grab your Riley Blake set as well. And when you feel a little more comfortable, then go ahead and make that beautiful quilt. Or pick out the blocks from that quilt that you love and make your own version. Maybe, let's bring this back up again. Maybe there's only one block in here that you feel like you can make now. Trust me, you could make them all. But let's just say you feel like there's only one block you could make now. Use that block, make 16 of them, add your sashing, and you would have a beautiful quilt. So maybe if you tried Lori Holt's, hang on just one second, let me bring this up. Maybe if you tried Lori Holt's block right here, you could do each one of those in a different color or something. You would have just an absolutely gorgeous quilt when you were finished. So those blocks, that's how they did it. But as I say, it's up to you. You're the artist. Do what you like to do at the speed you like to do it. And if you're a beginner, don't get pushed into doing things that you feel like are out of your league, as it were. They're not, but let yourself get used to things, but get them while you can, and then you can make them later. And with that Build a Quilt or with that Riley Blake set, there's so much you can do there. All right, moving on to our blocks for the year. That's how we ended up having 10 by 10 blocks be kind of the block size of the year. I put out a little poll for everyone, and you all said 10 by 10, 10 by 10. And with that 10 by 10 and the 10 by 10s for the quilt blocks, you now have a huge library of blocks that you can make in that size, and you could be putting quilts together all over the place. So here's another one that we did in Quilt Lab. This one was called the Spinning Argyle Diamond. Do you see kind of the Argyle effect there? And then the spin was obviously the pinwheel in the center. And as you put these together, you can see on the edges, you're going to be creating more pinwheels. So when this came together as a larger piece, it was gorgeous. So that was the Spinning Argyle Diamond. That's what we call it, Spinning Argyle Diamond. There we go. And now we had another one. I think this might have been May. It was called the Blooming Star. And the Blooming Star was really cool because we tried something different. Normally, or not always, but a lot of the times when we make star points, it's really easy to do it with the flying geese unit. But what I tried to do was I created these fancy corners because this month we were figuring out how we could take a square block segment and put it on point easily. It was easily done by adding corners to the sides. Then by adding these fancy corners on the end, we ended up making it a square again. So in the end, when we were putting things together, we were only putting squares together, but we ended up with a piece in the center that was on point. Simple way to do that, the Blooming Star. So it had these fancy points. And with this block, this was kind of, I called this, I think, a corner flying geese variation because it looks very much like a flying geese. It's kind of a modified idea, but it's just these rectangular pieces on, or not triangular pieces on the corners. And so with this one, we had some additional blocks that were free out there that you could, that I showed you, that were different centers from other blocks. Like I took some centers from some Riley Blake blocks, and I took some centers from some of our other blocks and created all new blocks and added these corners to them. They turned out great. So this was one of the fun months for me. I really enjoyed doing that. And then recently we had a very simple block in Quilt Lab because I believe as a quilter, everybody needs to have just a simple 8-pointed star in their collection. And that's what we did. We did the 8-pointed star. Now remember, these came in 3 sizes, but this was the 10 by 10 size, and I love it. The star is just one of those, when you see stars in quilts, that really says quilting to me, or patchwork to me, because stars are just found all over quilts. And there's so many different types, but this really helped us learn how to do these flying geese to make our points. And as you can see with your flying geese units, you get your perfect star points each and every time. It's so much easier to do it with Build a Quilt. I've been a quilter for over 55 years, so I've done the traditional way of quilting and patchwork. And I loved it the whole time. But doing it with Build a Quilt, so much easier. And all the precision is built in for you. So you don't have to mess around with measuring and that thing that I know you don't like, which is quilt math. It's not hard, but it's even easier with Build a Quilt. Alrighty, then 1 month. And this is one of the blocks that's in our year-end quilt for Quilt Lab. We call this one Points Home. All these just pointed into the center of the home, the heart, that type of an idea. I love this block so much. And as you can see, again, these are made with flying geese units and some corners, corner, 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 corner. Very easy to do this block. So you made 4 segments. Let me see if I can fold this right. We made 4 segments like this. And when you put them together, you get this beautiful block. And again, this is one that's in our quilt along for the year end. And I'll show you a picture of what that quilt's going to look like. This next one is also part of the quilt along. It's called our Inside Out block. Boy, did you guys like this block. I was kind of surprised. I was a little bit worried, but I had to get it into Quilt Lab because I knew I wanted it. This is a perfect filler block for patchwork for your quilts. And so I knew I needed to get it into Quilt Lab somehow, but I was a little concerned, but you guys loved it. I got so many emails off this block. And again, it's one of those that are so simple to do. That's all you're making in 2 colorways. And then when you put 4 of them together, you get that fantastic block. I love it. I think it's a great block, but I was a little concerned it wasn't, maybe you could say, as sophisticated as some of the other blocks we had done, but you guys really did love this block a lot. And I'm so thrilled that you did. It's an easy block to do. And so you'll see that in the year-end quilt too. Now here, just last month's, or well, this month, December's block was another star block. It's completely different. If this, let me get my little 8-pointed one. If this is a traditional 8-pointed quilted star block, what in the world is that? It's a pulsar. So you guys know that my background is in science, and you guys know how much I love space and exploration. Well, this is a star. This was what we could say, twinkle, twinkle, little star. But there's another type of star called a pulsar. And so when I created this for us, I wanted it to kind of look like maybe it was spinning, because a pulsar has a really cool spin to it. And so this one is so easy to make. I know it looks like it could be complicated, but it wasn't. Again, just squares. And again, a flippy corner block, but half the flippy corner is small and the other flippy corner is large, and it was so easy to make. And remember, with all of your Build a Quilt patterns, there is a how-to video to create these blocks, so you're never left on your own to figure it out. There's always a video to help you out. So this was our pulsar block, and of all the star blocks, I just love this one. This was I think this is my current favorite. I just loved it. And that's the way it gets when you're quilting. You'll love something more than anything else today, and next week you'll love something else completely differently. But that's okay. You can, in the end, you can love them all. Alrighty, one of our other blocks, again, this is a block that's in the year-end quilt, was our flower basket block. Flower basket blocks are really traditional patchwork, but there's a bazillion different types of them. There can be so many different flower blocks, basket blocks, but this is the one that I created for Quilt Lab this year. And this is the one that is in the quilt for the end of the year. And you're about to see that here, because I just have one more block to show you. This is another one that several of you liked, and we called it, this was our November block, I believe. It was called the Peppermint Twist. Now, I was all in a holiday mood when I created this block, so of course I did reds and greens and whites, but you can do this block in any color, any fabrics, any prints, any solids that you like. But I just loved it, and we called this one our Peppermint Twist, this being kind of like the center of the peppermint. You guys get that? And so I loved that one as well. So that was our blocks for Quilt Lab in 2024. Aren't they spectacular? I love them. And I've gotten so many emails from you guys saying how much you like this block or that block. And can I put this block with that block? You know what? You can. You can put them all together however you want. If you like these blocks together, go for it. And this year, over the holiday season, I introduced 3 more blocks to you. The poinsettia, this wasn't poinsettia. The Jingle Bell block. That's what this one was called. The Jingle Bell Star. I almost forgot. This is our Jingle Bell Star. Again, this block is only available in the single size, but guess what size it was? It was 10 by 10. So you could fit that in with any of the other blocks I've shown you. And then we had a block set, and this was our gift block set. I like putting quilts together. I have a wall quilt that's hanging right out in the hallway, and it is a big stack of blocks. And so it was done not with Build a Quilt. It was done years ago. So it's bigger, but I'm trying to figure out a way to translate that into Build a Quilt for us, because it's a great holiday block or quilt to have on the wall or to use as a throw in the living room. But these were our gift box blocks, and I wanted to do some sort of a gift box. Now, I did this one very much in the holiday stuff. This was a holiday fabric that I had left over from Kimberbell a year or so ago. And I love that. But this one, I mean, you could do these for birthdays too, if you wanted to do like a birthday banner or something. And this one is all done with, of course, my favorite, Tula Pink, of course. Now, the difference here, the bodies are made the exact same way. So no big deal. You can make all the bodies you want and then decide how you want to do the bow sections. You can do a short, full bow, or you can do a tall, spiky bow, whatever you want. Mix them up, have fun with it. But that was our other set. All of those are still available over at the website, and I'll give you that information again here at the end. Now, since we've gone through all those blocks, I want to show you this year's quilt along, because this is the block, or this is the quilt that we are just getting ready to finish the top when we come back from holiday. This is our Quilt Lab quilt for 2024. As you can see, we have our flower basket block, and here's that inside out block. And so do you see how it really fills in all the edges? And then here is our blooming star block and our points home block, and of course our diamond in a cross block. So you can see with this quilt, we didn't use all of the Quilt Lab blocks. I created the quilt with just these blocks in mind. However, you can take all those blocks that we have in Quilt Lab from this year, and you can make any combination you want, plus that one. Okay, so if you are a Quilt Lab subscriber, you got that pattern at no additional charge. If you weren't, if you bought these patterns here and there throughout the year, that was fine too. I appreciate all of that. But if you wanted to do the quilt, you could buy the quilt bundle. It was the pattern and all the blocks, just the blocks for the quilt itself. So you got the flower basket, the inside out, the diamond in a cross, the blooming star, the points home. I think all 5 of these, I think, is that are in here. You got all of those in the size that you needed to do the quilt and the quilting instructions. And we've been doing the quilt along each week for a little while now. And when we come back on the 8th of January again, for our Wednesday workshop, don't forget, we're coming back on January 8th for Wednesday workshop, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Write it on your calendar right now. I can't wait to see you guys. It feels like forever that we've been apart from Wednesday night workshop, when it's really only been a couple of weeks. But with all my quilting friends, just even a week away from you guys, and I miss you so badly. So we're coming back. That night, we're going to be talking about the quilting of the quilt. Don't worry if you're not caught up with the top yet. Here's a secret. I'm not either. I'm getting really close. I'm working on it a little bit each day. I figure I should lead the way and try to be done. But if you're not done, that's okay. Come see the information, and then you'll have it when you're ready. And if you wouldn't mind, please, I'm begging you, send me pictures of the blocks you're making, and I will share them. You guys know how much this year everyone has loved seeing everybody else's projects and blocks. And remember, here at Build a Quilt, there's no judgment, not ever. We only encourage, because we are all artists quilting life beautiful. So send me those pictures, and you can do that at support@sewincommon.com, and I'll get them. I always make sure I have your permission to show them, but then I will show them, and everyone will see what beautiful blocks and quilts you're making. So even if you're not done, if you just even have one of the blocks done, send us a picture. We'd love to show it. Alrighty. So this year we also did a couple of other fun things. I thought I brought out a new collection. Really, there's only this one piece now, but there will be more new pieces coming. I'm so excited. I can only digitize and create patterns so fast. I wish I had like 5 or 6 other people here with me who could do this as well, because I have notebooks full of patterns and stuff that I've jotted them down, and I'm ready to do them. I've started doing some digitizing, then I get off on another area. Oh, it's crazy, but I love it. And it's called My First Build a Quilt. And this was the pattern we did. It's called My First Build a Quilt. And with the My First Build a Quilt patterns, you not only get the patchwork, you get the quilting design to do on your embroidery machine as well. Now, I know some of you did this and sent in pictures and we shared them and they were gorgeous. We loved seeing them. Now, this was my prototype that I never bound. I made another one that I did bind. It's still out in the house. I'm using it on a table right now. But this was it. You learned a lot of basics with this. So if you're new to Build a Quilt, check out this pattern and these videos, because this will help you really get started and gain your confidence before maybe you try that Riley Blake quilt or this year's Quilt Lab quilt. This was a really easy piece to do, and it was a fun piece too. And I did it in these colors for the prototype because I believe we were doing it back in the summertime, and this just really said summer to me. But again, you can do them in any colors you like. Alrighty. This year, we also started introducing some what we call segment singles. So we talked about the flying geese unit right here, right? So that's just a regular flying geese unit, right? But we've started a collection of segment singles that can take the place of another block in your quilt. So if you have a flying geese unit in your quilt, but you don't want it to be just the solids and the prints, one of our new segment singles this year was the mosaic flying geese unit. So here are little wings. Those were solid, but look at this. This is all mosaic, and you get the stitch down piece as well, so that you can all stitch it down. We've got videos out there for this. I loved doing these. A lot of you really enjoyed these. They're a lot of fun. They're not necessarily maybe for everybody, because these are a little time consuming because you've got small pieces. But the nice thing is you don't have to be careful. You're just randomly cutting and placing stuff, but they take a little bit longer than, say, a standard flying geese unit. But I could replace that if they were the same size with that, and that really jazzes up your quilt with, really, even though they take a little longer, not a lot of additional work to do something really special with your quilt. So check out the mosaics segment singles. And we had another one, our friendship block, our snowball block, is something we did a pattern with last year, and that block is still out there. But we did, oops, sorry.
V1GH01234442R9V.
My speaker just went off, so sorry. This is the mosaic snowball block. This was so much fun to do, you guys. I loved it. Because the one fun thing about this, let me see if I can find something on here. This one, I have several of these, so this one might not be one. Let's see, is it in here? No. So in your patterns, oh yeah, here we go. So in your patterns, if you have patterned fabric and you love little pieces in it, see the little, I think, yeah, it's a little bunny with a party hat on. So I made sure to cut out that piece, and I made sure to cut out a flower from another piece and stick it next to him. So the little bunny in his party hat looks like he's smelling the flower. Isn't that cute? And you can do all kinds of fun. And this is the kind of thing you want to do. You have a dreary Sunday afternoon, a dreary Saturday. The family's got other things to do, and you actually get some time to yourself to quilt. This is the thing you want to sit down and just play. Just have fun. Just let the inspiration flow over you. Before you know it, you're going to be making things and you're going to be going, oh, I did that. And you'll be quilting life beautiful for sure. All righty. So those were the things for 2024 that I wanted to review with you all. I hope you all had fun. Seems like you did. I got a lot of really great emails and questions and DMs and stuff from everybody. Now, for the new year, I'm not telling you when, but I am going to tell you, this is the big deal. We are going to be having extended sizes for our basic segments. You guys have been asking for these because normally our segment pieces, the individual pieces, go up to a 5x5 because they can fit, all the segment pieces so far can fit in a 5x7 hoop. But some of you, I know, have machines with hoops, you know, the size of the great outdoors, and you want to do some bigger segment pieces. You're going to end up with some really big quilts that way too. And the bigger the segment, the faster those big quilts come together for sure. So this year, we're going to be having some extended sizes. Those are coming out. I'm not going to tell you when yet, but those are coming. So I hope that you will stay tuned. Maybe go to the website. If you haven't yet, subscribe at the website. It's all free. That gets you notifications and all before anybody else. So remember, our website is mybuildaquilt.com. That will get you notifications when these things are coming out before anybody else gets them. But those are coming. Now, the other thing that's coming this year, this last year, we had 2 basic sets, Build a Quilt Basics 1 and 2, and then I combined them into our combo set. And so Build a Quilt combo set is the half square triangle, the square, and the quarter square triangle, and the split rail, the flying geese unit, and the diamond in a square, all in 3 to 4 different sizes. None of them are bigger than 5 by 5. Some of them go down to 2 by 2. So if you want to make tiny quilts, you can make tiny quilts. If you need to mix size blocks to get your piece the size you want, you can do that for sure. So this set, I told you this year, this set, this combo set is now going to be something we're going to start using on a fairly regular basis here at Build a Quilt when we do projects. So it's something you're going to really want. However, let me tell you this. Again, I don't push things on you. Here at Build a Quilt, this year, we're going to have a lot of things. Some of those things you're going to be, yes, maybe it's Quilt Lab. Quilt Lab this year is going to be a different mini quilt, no bigger than 24 by 24 inches each and every month. Plus, you get all the extras and all that are listed over at the website. Go check that out. And then maybe that's your thing. Maybe you're like, oh, yes, I want to do this. I want to do them so badly. They're mysteries, though, so you don't know what's coming. But yes, maybe that's your thing this year. You've done enough big quilts for a while. You want to do some small quilts. I get that. Small quilts go quickly, too. And so you can have a lot of those done quickly. But this year, we also are going to be doing the Build a Quilt Basic Combo Set projects. Now, this is not a subscription, but you will need this combo set because what will happen is you will use the information in this set to make your segments, and then there will be a free download of the pattern that we're making. So it will tell you, you need to make 4 flying geese units in 4 by 4. That's one of the sizes this comes in. And all that information, how to cut it, all of the cut sheet information, that's in here. So you won't get that in the pattern. So if you don't own this, those pattern sheets aren't going to be much use to you. But maybe that's something you want to do this year because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with those, like from the very basic beginning stuff. In fact, we have a My First Build a Quilt project coming out, which we're only going to be using one of these segment pieces. Can you guess which one? I bet you can't, because I bet I know which one you think it is, but it's not. So we're going to be doing a quilt with one of these segment pieces, okay? So that kind of thing will come throughout the year. In the middle of the summer, or in the summer, we have an exclusive quilt along coming for Quilt Lab subscribers only. So if you want to be a part of that quilt along, then you need to be a Quilt Lab subscriber. You can find out all about that over at the website as well. So we have lots coming this year. We have some mini courses coming, and I can't tell you when they're coming because those are taking a lot of time to get them right. But we do have some mini courses coming. Mini courses, the videos and the downloads are going to be completely free, guys, completely free to you, but you'll only have 60 days to watch the videos and to download your material. Then those mini courses go away. It is a course. It's meant to be done in a certain amount of time. So if you want to do those mini courses, some of them will be quick and easy courses, but you'll still get that 60 days to do them because maybe you're going to do it, but you got to do it next week. So for those, you'll need to sign up. And I'll tell you all about that when one is ready so that you can get sent the information get sent the links to the videos, because those videos won't be available for everybody. They'll just be available during that time for the people doing the course. And then when that course goes away, eventually we'll have another course. Those courses may come back in time, but I won't repeat the same courses again in the same year. So like if I did a course on a full mini course on backing and binding, hint, hint, that course would only be available once in the year. It wouldn't come back again in the year. It might come back the next year, but it might come back 2 years from now. I don't know. But that's how that's going to work, okay? And that gives you a chance to really have me right there with you, really, because you guys will have a very specific time where you can get a hold of me live for questions and answers, all that kind of stuff. And for this year, those mini courses are not going to cost a dime. And the other good thing is this year with Quilt Lab, we did not raise the price of the subscription, and you're getting 3 to 4 times more value than last year. Okay, so check that out. All right, everybody. It's almost the end of 2024. Can you believe it? It's been such a great year here at Build a Quilt with all of you. I feel like I've made lifelong friends. And because of you guys, this channel has grown just by leaps and bounds. At this time last year, Build a Quilt had a subscription base of about 3,500 people, I think. We are almost at 600,000 at the end of this year. That was done in one way and one way only. That's because of each of you. You went out, you told friends who quilt and family who quilt. You got people to quilt with you. You invited them to come to Quilt Lab and Wednesday workshop. And they did. And they came back, and you came back. And that's how this group has grown. And I cannot thank you enough. I know I say that often, but it is truly from my heart. I can't thank you enough. I guess I just don't have any other words but to say thank you so very much. And I look forward to everything that we have coming in the new year. This will be Build a Quilt's 3rd year, and I'm very excited to see how this year is going to go. And for all of us, of course, to keep quilting together, keep having fun together, and learning together, because you guys also have inspired me this year. You've told me things about things you want to see, things that you want to do. And I, when I can, have tried to incorporate those into all the stuff we've been doing. And so don't stop that. Drop me comments, drop me DMs, send me an email. And again, if you need to send me an email, oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. support@sewuncommon.com. I will answer your questions every single time. Now, I will say this. I want to put out a little statement here, and I'm a little disappointed with how this is working. This has to do with how YouTube has been getting me my notifications for when you guys make comments. Sometimes I've noticed it's taken me, like I see the comment and it was like a comment from 3 or 4 days ago. I check my comments several times a day, and for some reason they're not coming in all the time on time. So I apologize. If you have sent me a comment and it's been more than 3 days and I have not gotten back to you, please send me an email, because I have to do some funny little things out there in this dashboard to get those to come up sometimes. I try to keep checking, and I think I'm doing it right. And then again, it's like today, there was an additional comment from a lovely viewer from 3 days ago, and I never saw it. It never showed up in my comment section. And for some reason today, it finally popped up. So I apologize if that's happening to any of your comments. That's not because I'm ignoring you, I promise. So if that's happening, send me an email and I'll get back to them. But I love your comments, so please keep them coming. And I'm trying to work that out with YouTube to find out what might be going on there, because I really don't know. But anyway, thank you all again so much for being here. And thanks for watching this video too, our year in review. Please subscribe, like, and share. Subscribe to the channel, like and share our videos, and we'll keep growing, and we'll keep bringing you all these beautiful patchwork in the hoop designs and all the fun we can do together. And until 2025, I'll see you guys next year. But until that time, Go quilt life beautiful. I know that you will. Bye, everybody. Happy New Year.